Alrighty, guys. So welcome to our week 12 study hall. It is the final one of the term. Again, guys, thank you so much for being with us throughout these 3 months. It has been fun. It's been incredible food. We've gone from home. Now we're in Southeast Asia, which is where we're going to finish off. You guys are going to be headed off to farm to table, which is a whole nother can of worms when it comes to type of cooking. But one of the things that I want you to take away from this is we've talked about farm to table in this class quite a bit. Now, while it's a trend here in the US, countries in Europe, in Asia, in South America, they don't have the option of farm to table. It's an everyday thing for them. That's life. Life is farm to table. So you guys are already going into that class knowing what it is that we're looking for. Chef was just talking about the Thailand here, so I'll let her go ahead and continue on. Give her a little bit of a breather here for a couple of minutes as I talk, but she can get back to it. She's been coughing, drinking a lot of water, but she can power through.
You got it, Chef. All right, so let's go keep on charging to Thailand. So Thailand, as we now know by Chef Jerry's experience, the chili is king there, right? Not only is it used to flavor dishes, but it can also oftentimes use as just a garnish on its own. It's not necessarily just for that heat. Remember, when we look at a pepper, right, there are those fruity notes. There is a flavor component. It's not just spice. It's not just heat. All right, so that's something to think about. Another thing that you'll see traditionally in Thai cuisine, they use a mortar and pestle as well. It's a deeper one. It is a deeper mortar and pestle, most often wooden. All right, that's what I've seen. I haven't been to Thailand, but from the videos I've watched, that's what they're using. It's quite deep, probably 6 to 8 inches. Yeah, about 6 to 8 inches deep with a larger pestle, right, to really mash it. And what they do, right, they're going to start to make that paste, right? Chop up some chilies, throw those chilies in, throw the ginger, throw the garlic, and then start pounding away, all right? Next, you know, they're making that sauce right in there. So now we've fully mashed up all those chilies, all that ginger, all that garlic. Now we're gonna hit it with a little bit of fish sauce. We're gonna throw in some tomatoes. We're gonna keep crushing that up. And then boom, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna toss that with a bunch of raw green papaya to make a classic Thai salad dish that is extremely refreshing, laced up with lime, ginger, garlic, a ton of chili, a ton of fish sauce, ton of lime juice, and green papaya and Chinese long beans, garnished with peanuts. There's also a really large influence of garnishing with peanuts in Thai cuisine. All right, not just the idea of all these beautiful spicy aromatics of chilies, but also a lot of peanuts. What do we know that peanuts are going to do to have a counter on that heat? Right? We know that cream, right? Cream and dairy products often kills that heat, but so does peanuts. Peanuts offer protein and fat. It helps take a little bit of that spice off. Without any fat, right, to cut that, it's going to be hard to take any of that fire out of your mouth. So you've got that fatty protein component. It's a little bit oily that also helps cut down on that heat. So, whoo, yeah, this is a whirlwind this week, Chef. I'm like, there's so much information to get out of here. I don't even know what's going on anymore. So continuing, all righty, let's get back into it. So what else do we know about what's the healing property? We've talked about this before. What's that healing property that peppers have? It's a chemical component of the pepper.
Starts with the C.
Capsicum.
Yeah, excellent. Right now, maybe some of you are familiar with, but that can also be used as it's used in traditional Chinese medicine, actually traditional Asian medicine all over for healing and soothing sore muscles and aches. Because that capsaicin, what do we know what it does? It goes in. Next thing you know, that your tongue is numb, right? Your lips on fire. So now, whatever pain was there, that's gone. All you're focusing in is on the heat, right? No, but there's literally a medical reaction that it starts to really anesthetize and kind of give that a go. So if you're ever in a market where you can find some of those the sheets that are made of capsaicin, check it out. If you ever have a lower back injury, keep it away from after touching it with your eyes because it'll burn the heck out of you. But it does have a quite beautiful relief on inflamed muscles and joints. So as far as moving through else, let's see, where else are we at? Additionally, chilies also help regulate blood pressure, helps the respiratory system, right? Clearing everything out. So maybe that's why, as Chef Jerry said, the more chili, the better, right? just give me more of that medicine, right? Just load me up, heal me. I need some more, right? I don't know, Chef Jerry, did it work? Did it
Oh,
heal all
thank you.
your
It
ailments?
definitely cleared my sinuses, but my mouth was burning for like 2 days after that.
Yeah,
It was,
you're just
it
numb.
numbed it, so I guess it works.
It does. It literally will just numb you up, and so you're good to go. So we know that there's a lot of, again, right? If we look at all those aromatics, lemongrass, ginger, garlic, all of those medicinal benefits that are used in heavy loads, right? So going into a little bit more of, we talked about moving in for your 4 main tests in Thai cuisine, which is going to be salty, sour, sweet, and spicy. Where do we think where are we getting those 4 components from? What do we think mostly? Where's that salt flavor coming from? We're using it in one of our ingredients this week. Where's a lot of the salt flavor coming from? What's the nuance? What's the ingredient?
Fish sauce.
Fish sauce. Bingo. Where do we think that spice is coming from?
The pepper.
Chilies. Yep. And what about that sour? Where do we think the sour is coming from?
Lime.
Lime juice. Yeah, lime juice and vinegar, right? And then sweet. Obviously, we're going to find that in the form of sugar, right? Oftentimes a little bit of a deeper, darker sugar as opposed to that refined sugar that we use. You'll see a lot more darker sugar utilized in traditional Thai cuisine because that was just, remember, when you have to refine a product, right, it becomes more costly. So with time, obviously, it becomes cheaper, but in the start, raw sugar was cheaper than refined sugar. So you're going to see a lot more of those deeper notes, a little bit of those caramel notes shining through in there, but great job hucking those out. You also have to balance those 4 main flavors. You've got kaffir lime, cinnamon, cloves, mint, turmeric, and really just starts to balance out that depth of flavor profile, round it out. So it's not just so aggressive punching in your face. You got to have, remember, kind of like we've talked about this in throughout these past 12 weeks, you've got main characters and you have supporting role characters. When you think about building a dish, right? You're going to have main characters that are standing out. They're going to be the most pronounced flavors. But without your supporting cast, it's going to be kind of flat. That's where these supporting characters, flavor builders, come in to round out and bring different depths of flavor, right? Just as we know, we add depths of flavor depending if we're searing, getting that Maillard reaction, if we're toasting our spices, if we're roasting something, we're adding layers of flavor. This is what all those spices do. It just rounds it all out. Does anybody have any questions regarding, I think I just saw something coming up. Okay, yes, chef, let's roll.
All right, guys.
I would love that.
Just to kind of round out what Chef Catherine was talking about here, we talk about it in our flavor journal all the time. You guys talk about what taste is, what mouthfeel it has. And sometimes I see you guys are gonna be like, it was initially super salty, got a little bit of sweetness on the back of the tongue, a little bit of heat, hit the cheeks, whatever it is. You guys really go into detail on explaining the depth of flavor that these foods are giving you. And that's all on purpose. You don't just want something to be super salty. As we've talked about before, if you have one flavor profile all the way through, it gets old. You'll see it, and the example I use a lot is with creme brulees or any type of these custards that are super rich, super heavy on the dairy. While they taste amazing, they're super sweet, super just rich in terms of flavor. After 3 of those scoops, it's like, oh, this is getting a little bit old. So what's it paired with? It's paired with mint. It's paired with berries, which are going to add that nice freshness, that acidity. It's going to cut through all that richness, and it's going to reset your palate so that you can continue. You take that next bite of that creme brulee after having something that's acidic, and you're like, oh my God, this is great again. And it's just going to really, really tie it all together. So the next country that we're going to talk about is the Philippines. So the Philippines does have 106 million people in it. The capital is Manila. Filipino food combines Eastern and Western ideas. There are some major influences in the Philippines. This poor country has been dominated time and time again, but there are 3 major influences that do dominate it. Can somebody jump in and tell me what you see in the Philippines? Think of their last names first and foremost. Yep, Vladimir, Spain, because of the names, absolutely. So that's one of them. Another
Spanish.
one is sorry?
Spanish?
Yes, the Spanish. That's one. Another one, it's going to be a country that we just covered last week.
The Mexicans?
No, actually, Mexicans are a product of the natives in what is now Mexico with the Spaniards. So that kind of The Spaniards did the same thing to the natives in Mexico that they did to the ones in the Philippines. And we'll leave it at that. Yeah, so Spain, which is where Mexico comes from as well. So that influence that they left here, in Mexico, they left in the Philippines as well. Country from last week, guys. Chinese, Vladimir, yep. And then the last one is American traditions. The Philippines is made up of 7,107 islands. There's a lot of them, with a few more appearing when the tide is low. So as that water goes down, they get more islands. When the tide goes up, they get less islands. Obviously, those aren't inhabitable because of the changing tide. But with so much water everywhere, it's no surprise that seafood is the main source of protein in a Filipino diet. It's something that you'll see just all over their food, again, because of the amount of islands that they have. With this, you'll see that I got lost in my notes already. So it used to be a Spanish colony. So there's, again, a lot of Spanish influence in the cuisine. The cuisine fuses a lot of Asian and European ingredients. For example, in a dish called pork menudo, they combined soy sauce with tomato sauce. So the Europeans, what they did was they came over to the Americas, took the tomatoes and took them over to the Philippines. And now they have that there. Filipinos are very social people. They love to party, and typically around food being the center of their celebrations. If you've ever been invited to a Filipino party, or if you ever get invited, I would urge you to go. And one thing that you're going to see is that they have this giant pig that is just sitting at the center of the table. And it is absolutely incredible. It's called lechon. Let me see if I have a picture of that. I do not, but I can bring one up. Very quickly. It's super good. It's just slowly cooked. They continue to just drizzle the flavor and liquid on top of it. They just slow roast it. Let me share my screen with you guys over here. Here we go. I think I'm sharing the right one. Yep. So you can see they just roast these pigs nice and slow, super low heat, just constantly spinning them. They get this beautiful just crust all the way around. And I would urge you guys, if you have not, take one of the ears. They're super delicious. They're just full of collagen, and they just have this beautiful flavor to them. But this is what it looks like. You'll typically see this at the center of any Filipino party. So if you ever get the chance, go. Another thing that we're going to see there is like same thing with other Asian cultures. We often find local Southeast Asian ingredients like chilies, coconut, shrimp paste, lemongrass, fish sauce. Fish sauce is something that we keep bringing up in every single one of these countries, but it's super prevalent. It's what they use for their source of sodium. And you're going to see it quite a bit. Chinese traders that have been going to the Philippines since the 11th century. They brought with them not only silks and ceramics for the purpose of commerce, but also bringing Chinese cooking traditions. So one thing that you're going to see a lot in Filipino cuisine as well, we did it last week. We did steaming. That is a very prevalent cooking technique that you're going to see in China, as well as any other country that it has left an influence in. And another thing, stir frying is something that we see a lot. Pancit is a Filipino dish that has its roots in noodle soup dishes from China. So let me go ahead and bring that up quickly here. That is definitely not it.
I can pull it up if you want, Chef.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought up a medicine. So definitely not that one. But yeah, so this looks like Chinese stir fry. It looks like chow mein noodles essentially. So you're going to see that it looks very similar to it. Another thing you're going to see in this region is this one here. What's this look like, guys? I think we just made this.
It looks like lumpia. Well, it is lumpia.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But it looks like the egg rolls that we just made this week. So again, very similar to the Chinese spring rolls that we made, or the egg rolls, whatever you want to call them. And you can see just the different fillings here. They're made with all kinds of stuff, from meats to vegetables to sweet ones. The possibilities are pretty much endless with these. And with the technique that you guys learned last week, they are as well. I had somebody that turned in an assignment where they made Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, and they looked absolutely beautiful. So you guys are able to take that technique and just add some fusion to it. Why not? So we move to Indonesia. So Indonesia has 267 million people in it. The capital is Jakarta, I think it's pronounced. And this is what is supposed to be most likely the original source of Southeast Asia's spicy nature. This is where it originated from. It just kind of moved outward. Indonesia's Maluku Islands have actually been dubbed the Spice Islands. And we have talked about them before. We've talked about the spice trade, and here it is. We've talked about it pretty much since week 1. Where we talked about ingredients being brought over from Europe to the US that were brought over from China and Southeast Asia to Europe. So this is kind of the origin, and this is how we just tie this whole class together. We talked about the Silk Road just kind of going initially from east to west, where they were taking all of these spices, making their way to India, picking some up, dropping some off, going into the Middle East, picking up, dropping off, going all the way into France, Italy, Spain. And you guys can see how just food ties together all the way through here. Spice Islands were something that, this was one of the regions that the Spaniards were trying to get to. And we talked about it. That's how the Americas were discovered, because of spices being so seeked out and wanted. Indonesia has played a key role as a trading partner for India, China, Holland. We saw it during that that video that I showed you guys, where Holland had an influence on these islands as well. No, sorry, it had an influence on the Mediterranean area and here as well. I will go ahead and send you guys a video that's very similar to the one we showed during that week, but with Southeast Asia and China. It's super interesting. Again, you guys will be able to see just how people have come and came and gone in this region as well. And you'll see that huge European influence in it. So with that, they introduced international staples like nutmeg, cloves to the rest of the world. Indonesian cooking, frequent trading meant that these isles also received many imported spices, leading to Indonesian cooking becoming kind of an international melting pot. Indonesia was taken over, as we said, by Holland, by Spain, by China. So what does that do? It leaves influence. It allows all of these places, they bring their food, they think they're going to stay there forever. They get kicked out by another country. They don't have time to pick everything up. And then the people that were there, they just stay. They're like, cool, well, like, I'm part of you now. I'm not going anywhere. So you'll see that those people end up leaving that influence. And it's kind of the same thing that we talked about as we were going into these European countries as well, where you have bordering countries like Spain and France, where as the people were just kind of marrying off the royalty and just kind of saying, okay, this is part of this country now, this is part of that country now, the people just never moved. They stayed there. So they went from being French to being Spanish, to being French, to being Spanish. So the food that was being brought in was from all of these regions. And it's the same thing here. These people were getting things brought into them, and that just forced all of their cuisine to become just this massive melting pot from all over the world. There are 2 separate words in Indonesia for spice. One is rempah, and then calling something a mixture of spices is called bumbu. Just some 2 words there. So one is the spice level, and then the other one is just amount of spices. One of the most well-known mixtures is a sambal sauce, which is a spicy sauce that's composed of fish paste, garlic, ginger, shallots, lime juice, vinegar. And if you've never had it, so good. It adds a beautiful flavor to food. It's just super well balanced. And again, a lot of beautiful aromatics for that preservation of life. These people, again, like the Chinese, are going to go to any type of natural substance before they turn to medicine. It was first created in the 16th century when trade was established between Spain and Indonesia. It is allowed for these ingredients to just kind of come together. And then they do have just endless and delicious national rice and noodle dishes that are seldom complete without banana leaves, basil, chili, turmeric, galangal root, which is an herb very similar to ginger, coriander. So a lot of things that are coming from all over the place are being used here. And then more often than not, they'll contain just a full mixture of these flavors. You'll see a lot of, let me go ahead and share this with you guys here before we do finish up here. I can definitely go ahead and send this to you guys. But if you guys can see here, we have this kind of flavor star. With this here, you see that there's some lines that are blue and some that are black. So blue means that it enhances the flavor or brings out the flavor. One of the things that you'll see a lot in baking is that they use salt. Anytime you've baked, you've added just a pinch of salt to these things. Why? to bring out the sweetness. So salty and umaminess are complemented by sweetness. So they elevate each other. They don't kill each other off. They heighten each other. So you'll get more of that sweetness, more of that saltiness. And then we have balancing. So they kind of counteract each other. If something's too spicy, what are you going to do? You can add a little bit of sugar to it and it'll actually go ahead and kill off some of the spice. You can add a little bit of citrus to it and it'll kill off some of the spice. But it doesn't work the other way around with sour. You can't kill sour with spiciness. You have to balance that out a different way. And I'll go ahead and send this to you guys and to Chef Catherine so that you guys have it just kind of as a guideline. Anytime you're cooking, you might go a little bit too far on the sour level and you're like, oh man, how do I like tie that down a little bit? And you'll be able to see this here. But with all these Southeast Asian countries, it's just super, super prevalent. They have a lot of very strong flavors, but what they do is they balance it out by using other things. Fish sauce, as you guys will learn this week, is very powerful in terms of smell and flavor. But when you add the acidity to it, it's super umami and salty. So what are we going to do? We're going to add some lemon or some lime juice to it. And what's that going to do? It's going to really bring it together. It's going to tie it together, as well as some sweetness. We're going to add some sugar. We're going to add all kinds of stuff, some spiciness to it. So really, really play with these flavors. I would urge you guys to do a lot more digging into the rest of these cuisines. If there's any that you can relate to or any that you found interesting, if you love the French influence, try the food from Vietnam, as it has a major influence there. If you love Spanish, well, if you like Spanish food, try food from the Philippines. It's going to be relatively similar. It's a great way to introduce yourself to a brand new culture and food, but it is going to have that Asian influence into it. And that's pretty much it here. I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. We almost got to the end there without a blender, but it is what it is. Alrighty, guys, anything from you guys here? We do still have about 5 more minutes if anybody wants to add anything as we do close off here.
Questions, comments? Well, I will just back up Chef Jerry and say, just really support that. There's so many cuisines out there, right? The world, as the saying goes, is your oyster. Tons of different flavor profiles. It can be overwhelming at times, right? Like, well, I love Italian food and I love this and I love this and I love that. Go and focus on one, right? And as you start developing and really focusing on 1 or 2 cuisines, I would suggest picking 1 or 2. Trying to become a master of all because you love them all, that's great. I highly suggest that. But take it in small doses, all right? Learn about the cuisine, dive deeper into it, learn about more, right? If you really feel passionate and like that flavor profile, it's going to get you more excited about diving deeper into that cuisine. And then once you feel comfortable, then when you take a leap, or maybe you start working in a restaurant that's a Thai restaurant or an Italian restaurant. These are also things to start thinking about because externship is coming down the road, right? So if you have a passion for fine dining or bistro food or French cuisine or Italian, start looking at an externship site, a location that cooks that type of food. It's going to give you more experience and exposure. I pronounced your name incorrectly last time, so I'm going to let Chef Jerry handle that. Kieran?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, all right.
I was wondering for the curry. I did hear you say that we can use the if we couldn't find the green, we could use the red paste or the golden or the yellow paste. Mm-hmm. What's the actual like what's the different taste? Because like I said, I did get the red and the golden, but what's the difference between the green one? Is it more spicy or?
Basically, with most curries, right? With your curry base, right? Each curry is going to have a variety of ingredients. Usually, looking at galangal, which is a cousin of the ginger. It's a rhizoid. I've got galangal, ginger, lime, kaffir lime, and then is where we're going to and chili, and then we're going to start to break off. Some are going to have higher concentrations of coriander. Some are going to have more lemongrass. Some are going to have more shrimp paste. Some are going to have different flavor profiles. My suggestion to you is look on the back of your ingredient list to see that color of green versus red, and start looking at those flavor profiles. Okay, we see these 5 ingredients are exactly the same. Where do we start to see some slight differences? You're going to have definitely different flavor profiles because your ingredient is going to be varying. However, go and enjoy both of them. They both make a really beautiful curry. And if you want, I would say look up a recipe for cow soy and make cow soy with that red curry and noodles, and save that green curry for your chicken curry, your green chicken curry, and use that red curry for cow soy maybe next week or something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know if that helped you answer the question, but
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
I was more so leaning, like you said, I was wondering, will it be a different flavor profile, or was it just, like a spicier thing or anything like that? But yeah, I get what you mean by comparing the ingredients to figure out the new.
Yeah, the heat levels are usually pretty similar unless you're making your own curry paste. Remember, this is also the hack, right? We're buying curry paste in a can. Otherwise, when you look at that ingredient list and think about all those spices that you need to get to pound into a paste, whoo, your flavor profile is going to be completely different. But you're not going to have a big difference on the heat level that I have noticed. That only really comes into play once you start adding your own garnish of chilies. Chef Jerry, have you noticed any striking difference for heat levels when it comes to green or red?
Like Vladimir said, I've noticed that, like he said, the green ones are a little bit sweeter and the red ones just run a little bit spicier. I've noticed that as well. But curries, guys, are going to be like we talked about during the India week, and like we've talked about when we were back in week 1 with collard greens. Every household is going to have their own version of it. You go to Mexico, you have mole. Every household is going to have its own version, and the ingredients that go into it are just really what make it. It depends on basically what goes in. Like Chef Catherine said, you have to look at the ingredient list and just really see. Oh, it's got fish sauce. It's got this. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit more salty. This one's going to be a little bit sweeter because it's got more added sugar to it. And that's really going to be the difference. You'd have to really focus in on the ingredients. Like you said, if you make your own, you can really go ahead and adjust that. And then even sometimes it's just the difference between using the same pepper, but whether it was a red pepper or a green pepper. Serranos can go red or green. And just might not have much of a difference in flavor profile. Just the color is different because of the pepper that was used. G, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question, but it's not about this. It's about my knowledge checks. I'm doing my knowledge checks, but it's not giving me the little check in the box.
So when we do old knowledge checks that aren't from the current week, us as instructors do have to update them. So we do that every Friday. This week, I'm doing it a couple more times. If you click into the quiz, it should show you the points that you got. If you got a perfect score in the quiz, it'll say 10 out of 10. But if you look at your grade book, it will say 0 out of 10 until I go in and update it manually, which I will do later on today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. I'm going to say a few parting notes, and then Chef Jerry, I'll let you wrap it up. Class, it has been an absolute wonderful journey around the world with you. Know that there is so much more to explore, and please know that we are here whenever you want to reach out with questions. Our time together doesn't end at this class, right? We are a part of your journey, whether it's in farm to table or an externship or after graduation. We are there, right? You've got our information on both Chef Jerry's and my contact email. Great to send us an email. We love to hear updates about what's going on, right? Or if there's just something that we can help you with, we're here. We're always going to be here. We're here to support you. And really, at the end of the day, keep cooking, keep loving it. This is what we're here for. It's about the passion. It's about exploring, challenging yourself, challenging your palate, challenging your plate ups and your presentation, and every day pushing to be a little bit better at seasoning and thinking outside of the box and understanding that this world is a wild, wonderful place. And if we just share a little bit more food together, then maybe we can make it a better place. So love you all. And it has been wonderful having you with us. Chef Jerry.
You want me to follow that up?
Yeah.
God.
You got to wrap it up, Chef.
Thank you guys so much.
I'm emotional. I had to cut myself off.
Can I go before he?
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I enjoyed this journey with you guys. This is my last class with Escoffier. It's been real. And I enjoyed the both of you guys, and you just keep up what you're doing. And to my fellow classmates, good luck in your future endeavors. And I love you all.
Thanks.
All right, Deborah, thank you so much. Alrighty, guys. So now it's my turn, and as always, I get nervous before I speak. But just an amazing job this term. As always, I keep telling you guys, I would urge you, go take a look at those first couple of assignments. Even go back to your 122, your 101 class. Look at the stuff that you turned in and compare it to what you have now. and just think about how much better you're going to get as your career progresses. I actually sent out a video to my class earlier today, kind of going through this, showed them some pictures of some stuff that I've done recently. But like I told you guys at the beginning, what I used to do in culinary school compared to what pictures I showed you guys, it's night and day. I was an absolute nightmare. I was not a great student. I was not all that great at cooking either. I came from a very low-income Mexican family, so all we had to eat was Mexican food. So culinary was something that, culinary school was something that was super eye-opening to me. There was a lot of flavors that I didn't understand. I just wasn't used to the ingredients. Even now, fermentation and pickling are things that I'm not used to. But here I am, look, every single week you guys see me with my kombucha bottle. And every time I take a drink, I'm like, because I'm not a fan of it. But I continue to try to season my palate, condition my palate to understand the flavor profile, even if it's something that I'm not a huge fan of. And that's something that I would urge you guys to do. Challenge yourself with flavors, with food, with garnishes, with knife cuts. Everything that you feel you can't do, give it a shot. And if there's a food that looks a little bit funky, try it. I try everything. If you guys have had balut before, I've had it twice. It's not a particularly pretty dish, but it tastes great. And it's just one of those things. And try it one way, and if you don't like it, try it cooked a different way. Maybe it was just the application that it was in that you weren't a fan of, but there is just hundreds of thousands of pathways that you can go to in your career. And just stay curious is really final words here. Continue to stay curious, keep cooking, and just have a good time, enjoy yourself. I was that person in the kitchen that would grab the broom when I had to sweep and ride it around like a horse, smacking myself, just laughing. Really have a great time as you're going through your culinary journey. It's not all just angry chefs like what you see on TV with Ramsay. The kitchen is just the most beautiful place, full of a lot of interesting personalities, and you guys are going to enjoy it.
Thanks, Chef. Peace out to everybody. All right, bye. Good night, everybody. Good night, chefs.
Night, guys.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. Take care. Lots of love and happy cooking.
Everyone.
Night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Take care. Cook